Do so for We the People News again. Is your money safe in a bank? Should you trust them? Let's see.
Closing branches as more customers bank online and fewer go into the bank in person. But for one East Bay man, it caused a mild panic, actually. The Bank of America shut down his branch just hours after he made a huge deposit and his money disappeared. So you can imagine how worried he was. So he came to 7 on Your Side's Michael Finney, as so many people do, to find out what to do, Michael.
Yeah, it's hard to believe this story happened at a major bank.
Yeah.
This viewer deposited $33,000 through a teller at a Bank of America in Oakland, and hours later, the branch shut down. His deposit never got posted, and everybody kept telling him, sorry, there's nothing we can do.
And I said, you're telling me that Bank of America lost $33,000 of my money, and you're telling me right here to my face there's nothing you can do? That's right, sir.
It was like a bad dream, except it was real.
I was starting to think I may not see the money ever.
Brian Leonard deposited $33,000 into his account at Bank of America. Then it disappeared.
Nobody said, we'll find out where the money is, we'll make good on it, we'll take care of it. There was none of that.
It all began here in Brian's kitchen.
My wife and I are in the midst of a big kitchen remodel.
Brian had to pay the contractor and needed to transfer $33,000 from his account at Wells Fargo to his account at B of A. He brought a cashier's check straight to the teller at B of A so it would clear right away.
And she said it would post that afternoon or next morning at the latest.
However, when he checked his account the next day, the money was not there. He called B of A, and it was not good news.
The woman said that there was no record of the transaction, so as far as she was concerned, no transaction happened.
Brian drove back to the bank and got another surprise. B of A had shut down that branch just hours after he paid his big deposit.
And when I realized that the branch was closed and the teller that took my $33,000 cashier's check is nowhere to be found, my heart sank into my stomach. I felt like I just saw a boat leaving dock and my money is on the boat.
Brian went to another branch, only to find the doors locked there, too.
So that's when I started to get very nervous. Just like, wait a second, the branches are closing, the people that I've had contact with, gone.
He went to a third branch. It was open, and the manager didn't help.
He said there's no record of the transaction, so there's nothing he could do.
Brian showed him the cashier's check and deposit receipt, proof of the missing money.
And I said, well, you're the manager. Can you escalate the issue? He says, no. There's nothing I can do.
Brian says everyone at B of A kept telling him that.
There was nothing he could do. There's nothing that she could do. So there's nothing I can do. So there was nothing he could do. They kept repeating, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do about that. It was kind of Kafka-esque.
But there was something Brian could do. He contacted the bank's CEO, the federal government, and 7 on Your Side.
That ball started moving very quickly.
B of A tells us the problem arose because the cashier's check was made out to Bank of America, not Brian, and it delayed the process. B of A didn't say why no one helped Brian track down his money until now.
Bank of America contacted me. They said, we are going to give you $33,000 immediately. 7 on Your Side. You're on it from the get-go. And so, thank you.
You're welcome. That's what we do here. Now look, this story is a great reminder. Keep your receipts. Bank of America did not comment on whether the shutdown of that branch may have caused a problem with the deposit, but says it's a temporary closure. This is one of hundreds of bank branches to close nationwide over the past year, and we're starting to hear more and more problems related to these shutdowns. And what concerns me, too, is you have receipts and they mean nothing?
Yeah,
Do I have a receipt?
right. As you said at the top, I've never heard of this at a major bank. As it turns out, there was something they could do. And you got him to do it. Thank you, Michael, very much.
Take that as a lesson, I guess, y'all. If you had these problems with the bank, get in touch with the FBI or whatever, and do your due diligence. Now, the problem I have more in that than anything else, now he just become the victim from that bank. That bank should have gave him that $33,000 back, plus $10,000 of being harmed. because at that particular time, we don't know what situation of his finances are, but everything was on hold, right? And it never said how long it took him to do all these things, but if you got to figure out that if he had to go to the bank several times and they kept on denying him, now this was more than a couple of days. And then when he contacted the CEO, and then they contacted the feds and all this kind of stuff, this wasn't a 10-minute thing. So now he has unnecessary labor involved. And he had to do everything on his own. When he had a receipt, and it should have been handled in-house immediately. That manager, the first manager, should have seen that receipt and should have did something and get in contact with the CEO or anything like that faster than this gentleman could. So the American Bank, Bank of America, should have gave him $10,000 plus for time and trouble of his time and energy. They had no problems whatsoever charging you for late fees, do they? And yet, you got $33,000 missing, and they're not going to pay late fees? Nah, and time and energy to get down to the nitty gritty of the problem when the bank managers wouldn't do nothing. So now they should have $10,000. Now this guy was probably happy, and if you get a lawyer and expense and this, that, here and there, I'm just saying, in all actuality, that the bank should have said, hey, here's $5,000 or $10,000 for your time and energy to get this handled on your own. When we should have took care of the problem. Now, recognize hundreds of banks are closing down. Is your money safe, y'all? Remember, anytime any type of bank could close down, your money's gone. So now American Bank of America may have had other stores open and all that kind of stuff, and they may never completely close down. But if American Bank actually just completely closes, regardless how much money you have in that bank, it doesn't exist. So in this day and age, as the cops would say, take heed. Warning. I would pull some cash out for emergency if you don't want to pull everything out. But this is y'all's discretion of y'all's money in y'all's bank. Okay? I'm not saying to do it. I'm not saying to panic. I'm just saying take some type of discretion. Back in the old days, people didn't trust banks. And nowadays, they trust banks. I don't know. You guys decide. This will be the People News. Bye, y'all.